What is going on, guys? Hassan Malik back here again, and now that we've seen the first couple of waves for LEGO Star Wars in 2022, I thought it'd be a pretty good time to take a look back at the entire year so far and kind of judge this whole bunch of sets. So I'll be kind of doing like a two-part video series. This video will go over everything that we've already gotten, and I'll do another video in a couple of days that goes through everything that we will be getting in 2022. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to like and subscribe. And also, before we get into it, I did want to give a very quick reminder that the giveaway for $100 worth of your choice of LEGO sets is currently going on. So you could actually win every single set that we're going to be taking a look at today, because they're pretty much all under 100 US dollars. All you have to do to enter is make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow that link in the description, and then sign in with your YouTube account. It's super simple and 100% free. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. So starting with that first winter wave that released on January 1st, we got a whole bunch of sets. So we're going to start with the minifigure packs here. Overall, I think these are both great additions to LEGO Star Wars. Battle packs have unfortunately moved up to a $20 price point, so it's really cool to see that we have some $15 sets where you can easily get some really cool minifigures. In an ideal scenario, battle packs would have remained at 15 bucks, but you know what? Inflation is a thing. Prices are always going to increase, so it was kind of inevitable. Anyways, the defensive Hoth set is pretty cool. We got a whole bunch of Hoth stuff in this first initial wave, and that really makes sense when you look at the fact that we got a UCS AT-AT just the year prior. But this second set here, this Clone Trooper Command Station, is a really cool set for multiple reasons. So the first reason is that we get some really cool clone troopers in a really cheap set in kind of like an army builder style, so that's pretty great to see. But then it also really backs some of the rumors that we've been hearing that we will be seeing more sets based on episode 2 Attack of the Clones this summer. I think it'd feel a little bit random if we just got a minifigure pack based around phase 1 clone troopers without seeing some episode 2 Attack of the Clone sets at some point this year. And you know what, all the rumors are pointing in that direction, so this kind of just helps confirm all of those. Either way though, minifigure packs are really cool, and I'm happy with their addition to the Star Wars theme. Moving on here, we do have that Snow Trooper battle pack. Unfortunately, it is $20 like I just did mention earlier. I think this is pretty much a must buy if you already have the UCS AT-AT or have a bunch of Hoth stuff in general. Hoth is a pretty cool battle, and although we've been getting more sets based on new Star Wars content, it's nice to see we're getting some original trilogy stuff as well. I think most fans were getting a little bit sick of the old remakes and everything, so it's nice to see that LEGO's kind of walking a nice balance between old stuff and new stuff. It seems like each individual wave either focuses on stuff from the original series or focuses on things from newer Star Wars media. Anyways, we did also get the Razer Crest Microfighter. This is a great set if you don't already have a Din Djarin minifigure. He's been kind of included in pretty much everything at this point, so if you don't have one yet, this is a really easy way to get your hands on this fig. And lastly here we have the Hoth AT-ST. I think AT-STs are pretty cool as vehicles go, and it's nice to get one that is around 50 bucks. The build is pretty decent. It is just an AT-ST, and it's built kind of similar to how the previous AT-STs are also built. And you get a pretty decent minifigure selection as well, so if you're going for a whole Hoth build where you're collecting sets based on Hoth, this was a pretty decent wave for you. And other than that, for the first wave, we got a polybag for the AT-ST as well, and we should be getting a Luke Skywalker with Blue Milk minifigure, except that minifigure is going to be included with the LEGO Star Wars Rise of Skywalker video game. So that kind of does it for all the stuff that happened in that first wave of 2022. Overall, not a bad wave. It had a heavy focus on Hoth, which I honestly don't mind. But this next wave, which I'm dubbing the Spring Wave, has been much better, but also kind of controversial in certain ways, which we're going to discuss. So I'm just going to get the less interesting stuff out of the way here. We got 3 helmet sets: the Luke Skywalker pilot helmet, the Mandalorian helmet, and also the Dark Trooper helmets. All of these individually do look pretty decent. They do have some flaws here, like the Mandalorian helmet should have his visor tapered at the end there so it doesn't look so much like Boba. And also the Dark Trooper helmet to me kind of just looks a little bit small, or like it has too many studs. I haven't really put my finger on what I don't like about this helmet, but for just some reason it looks a little bit off to me. Let me know if you guys also think that down in the comments below. But as helmet sets go, this is not a bad selection at all, although I still do think they need to include minifigures of the characters they're portraying with these helmet series. Either way though, moving on from the helmets, this is where we got the big important stuff for 2022, which is sets based on the Book of Boa Fett and also the ending of the Mandalorian Season 2. Now all these sets are generally pretty good, but they're also pretty bad in certain ways, and we're going to go into that individually with each set here. So start with the smallest one here, which is the Dark Trooper Attack. This set looks really good. I do really enjoy the fact that it's kind of built as a display model, not just a playset. Often LEGO sets at this price point only have a bunch of play features and don't look that good on display, but this set does a good job at excelling at both. You have some play features here which are pretty neat, and it also does look pretty good as a display piece. It gets a look of that Cena cross. The minifigures here are fantastic. We get these same Dark Troopers who already looked great before. And we also get a brand new Luke Skywalker who looks very accurate to how he does in the scene. So overall, not many complaints about these set here, not really about the build or anything like that. But the one big issue here that we're going to kind of see reoccur through all of these newer sets is the price. So this set includes 166 pieces and retails for 30 bucks, giving it a price per part of 18.1 cents per piece, which is pretty high. Now for decades, LEGO collectors have always seen 10 cents per piece as kind of like the standard or the sweet spot at what each set should cost. So if a set's price per part range was over 10 cents, it would be seen as expensive, and if it was below 10 cents, it'd be seen as a good deal. But unfortunately, I don't think that's ever really applied to LEGO Star Wars sets over the past decade, to be honest. I can't remember the last time we saw a new set based on new Star Wars content that was under 10 cents a piece. And now here's the thing, I don't really know who to blame for this. I mean, I don't know if it's Disney's fault or LEGO's. But the thing is, we do see a continuing trend here every time we have sets based on new content that is seen as a desirable set by fans. LEGO tends to hike up that price. Like maybe this is a licensing issue. The Mandalorian is quite a new TV series, so maybe it costs a lot more for LEGO to produce these sets than they would for regular original trilogy stuff. But here's the thing, I'd kind of take a walk back to a couple years ago when we got the 501st Battle Pack. That set is based on pretty old Star Wars content. I mean, the Clone Wars was airing that year, I believe, but in general, the 501st Troopers have appeared in shows from much before that, but that set still had an inflated price at 30 bucks as well. That set had no reason to be 30 bucks, but LEGO saw the drive and the hype for the set from the fans, and they just jacked up the price unnecessarily. And I kind of feel like there's something similar going on here. This set really should just be 20 bucks. I mean, it looks like it should be 20 bucks. The piece count here is 20 bucks, and also the minifigures included is only 4, which is generally the amount for like a battle pack or a $20 set. Maybe they could have included one less Dark Trooper and hit that $20 price point, but either way, 30 bucks is just way too pricey for this set, which is a little bit unfortunate because it is generally a very good set that I do enjoy quite a bit. And while the price is pretty rough here, it is definitely going to get worse with some of the other sets that we're taking a look at today. So let's continue on with the other sets. We're going to go to the next set here, which is Boba Fett's Throne Room. Now, where the last set really excelled as a build, but kind of failed in the price department, this set kind of fails a little bit in both categories. Now, the build overall is not that bad. It's really cool that you could probably attach a Rancor pit, which is actually rumored to come out this year as well. I do think this set should have had like a dome on top of the throne room here, which is a little bit unfortunate that we don't have, since the last Jabba's Palace did run into some controversy around the shaping of that dome. I guess it kind of rubbed some people the wrong way, but I do think I'm kind of in the community that it was supposed to have offended, and honestly, I don't find it that offensive. Or offensive at all, to be honest. This is a fake universe. I don't really see the negative connection between this LEGO set and the way that certain people are portrayed, such as myself, in the world. I guess the controversy came from the fact that the build was a little bit similar to mosques or other Islamic structures, but you know what? I'm part of that group that removing these pieces is supposed to be, I guess, protecting, and I honestly don't find it to be that offensive, and I honestly think it was a little bit unnecessary. Like, including a dome here would have really completed the look of this set, and it's kind of unfortunate that they didn't include it. I don't know, maybe that's a hot take. You guys let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments below. Either way though, moving away from the structure, which overall does look really good in this set, the other issue I kind of have is with the minifigures here. Overall, it's a great selection of minifigures, but the two main ones here, being Boba and Fennec Shand, have kind of let me down. So the Corrin minifigure, the Gamorrean guard, the dancer here, Bib Fortuna, all of them look great, but for some reason Boba Fett is still using that sand green jetpack as well as helmet piece, which I don't really understand. So for those of you guys who have seen Boba Fett in the show, his armor is much darker after he repaints it, and I'm not sure why, but LEGO hasn't really reflected that in their minifigure at all. And it's a little bit weird because the printing on the torso there is the right color of green, is that much darker green, but then that's not reflected in his helmet or jetpack in any way, which is just kind of weird. I think LEGO has generally kind of missed the mark when it comes to these Mandalorian helmets. For some reason, they don't really try to take steps in terms of changing these helmets. For example, Din Djarin's helmet could have seen a lot of improvement for so many years, but they've generally kept it the same. And I guess they're kind of doing the same thing here with Boba Fett. It would have been great to see a nearly colored jetpack as well as helmet, and this set would have been a great opportunity to introduce that, but they just went ahead and decided not to. So that does kind of suck. And the other thing here is with this Fennec Shand minifigure, it really kind of goes against the new ideas that the LEGO Star Wars designers were trying to implement. So one thing the designers said last year with the announcement of the UCS Republic gunship was the fact that LEGO designers don't want to put these really sought after minifigures in these extremely expensive sets, because people would just be buying those sets for the minifigures alone just because they're very desirable, and that's kind of like an artificial value. value. And Fennec Shand is one of those minifigures that is very desirable by fans, and unfortunately she's only included in one other set, the Light Cruiser, and unfortunately it is a very expensive set. So here comes a cheaper option that also includes Fennec Shand, but for some reason they don't decide to include her helmet. Like, I think they really could have included her helmet, especially with the fact that this set is $100 but only includes 700 pieces. There was definitely room for this somewhere in the budget for sure, but instead they just gave her a hairpiece and didn't give her a signature look with the helmet on. And honestly, I think it kind of goes against the idea they tried to implement last year by removing these sought after minifigures from really expensive sets, because at the end of the day, if you want a complete Fennec Shand minifigure, you're gonna have to go and spend $160 on an Imperial Light Cruiser. And that still kind of sucks because this set was a very easy opportunity to include that exact same minifigure. That's all you really had to do, and that would really solve that issue. So I don't know, maybe LEGO was kind of walking back their stance on that. I'm not really sure what they're doing, but it would have been great to see a complete Fennec Shand as well as a newer Boba Fett minifigure here in this set. Now, it does sound like I'm complaining about this set a lot. Don't get me wrong, I still do actually enjoy this set. I think it's very good. I'm definitely going to pick it up, but I do think it could have been better. There was room for improvements here, and it just feels like LEGO took no effort to give us some of those changes. And we have only really discussed the build. Speaking of that price, it is also pretty bad. It is a price per part of 13.7 cents per piece, which honestly isn't that bad when you compare it to the Dark Trooper attack, but $100 still feels like way too much for this set. It definitely should have been 80. But again, just like the last set, this could be due to licensing, this could be due to LEGO side, we don't really know. At the end of the day, Disney does play a big role into how sets are priced, so this could just be them. We don't really have any idea. Either way though, let's move on to our final Spring Wave set of 2022, which is the Mandalorians and One Starfighter. This is a set that I was dreaming of getting after episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett aired, and lo and behold, we're already getting it so soon this year. I'm really happy to see that LEGO is making an official version of this vehicle here in LEGO form, but unfortunately, I don't think they did that great of a job. Now, so far with these three sets, we've been talking about price and build and how each set has done with both those categories. The Dark Trooper attack set being a great build with a really bad price, and the Boba Fett's Palace set having a decent build and decent price as well. But this set, unfortunately, drops the ball in both categories for me. Now, I'll start with the build here as usual. This build is a little bit wonky. Now, I can kind of see why the LEGO designers decided to make it so big. I do think it has to have that swooshability and kind of play factor to it. This is a set that a lot of kids are going to buy, and they're going to want to fly this ship around and everything. So making it a little bit bigger is kind of necessary to do that. But aside from that, this build just looks really off to me. It could be the mixing and matching of all these different versions of gray. We got dark gray, light gray, metallic gray. So much stuff going on here. It kind of really hurts the eyes. I get what they were going for, kind of giving it that broken, patched up look that it has in the show. But unfortunately, I don't think it was really reflected here all that well. Also, the twin pods here look a little bit too janky for my taste. And also, I get what they were trying to do with the engine details here. It just looks a little bit too bulky and kind of clunky with the greebling. I think this is one situation where I might have actually preferred having a sticker. I don't know, maybe that's a hot take. Maybe you guys probably disagree with that. But either way, what I really would have liked to see with this set was more uses of silver pieces. And part of the reason I'm saying that because this set is actually 412 pieces, but it retails for a whopping $60. And I think at this piece count, having those metallic silver pieces would really help justify that price a little bit more. Having the whole thing in gray just looks a little bit off, although it's not the most inaccurate thing in the world. So yeah, I would have liked to see some silver pieces here. And then continuing on with the blasters here on the front, I really don't like how these blasters are implemented. I mean, that's a very easy fix. Any of us could handle ourselves. You can kind of just mix and match that to make it look a little bit more realistic. But I'm not sure why they went with this decision for the blasters here. They just don't really look like actual guns. They look like two turrets that have these pieces plugging them, kind of blocking them from shooting. That's what it kind of looks like to me. So that part is a little bit weird. I do like the engine part here. That looks pretty good. And I do also like the fact that this has a storage compartment. That's always cool to see with a ship in Star Wars. The cockpit overall does look pretty good, and I think they did a good job of implementing that little space for Grogu as well. So yes, I've complained a lot about this build and the way that it generally looks. It's just for some reason, it just doesn't look all that good to me, and that partly could be because of the fact that we have seen some absolutely amazing customs from the LEGO Star Wars community ever since that episode aired. I mean, the second that we saw this ship, so many different mock makers got onto their computers and started designing some really great N1 starfighters. So maybe this set honestly doesn't look that bad. Just after looking at all those mocks, this set just looks so much worse, and it's hard not to see the potential of what could have been. But obviously a lot of these mocks couldn't actually be sets because they wouldn't pass the durability standards that LEGO has. I don't know guys, it just really feels like the designers could have done a better job with this vehicle, but at the end of the day, I don't really know what concept art or images they were basing this build off of. A lot of times when they release a set this early on, they're working with really early concept art, so the final product that we get get is a little bit inaccurate. So yeah, although I have kind of been hating on this build a lot, it is not the worst thing in the world. At the end of the day, I'm just glad to have an official version of this set here in 2022. Like, this is a set that I'm definitely going to pick up, and it's one that I'd recommend you pick up as well, because it's a great vehicle. It looks amazing in the show, and this is probably the only official one we're going to get for a little while. And speaking of these minifigures, by the way, this Pelimoto minifigure's hairpiece looks a little bit off. I think the Lego Afro hairpiece would have suited this minifigure much better. I'm not sure why Lego didn't go with that. It's already in their part inventory, but this one also kind of does work. Getting a BD droid is obviously very exciting. We do know that we're getting an official BD1 set later this year that's going to be based on Jedi Fallen Order. So hopefully seeing this minifigure version also means that we'll see a set based on Jedi Fallen Order at some point soon. Who knows? I got my fingers crossed. We got the same Grogu minifigure here, and Din Djarin here in his Beskar armor as well, which you've seen before. Unfortunately, the Dark Saber is the exact same one that we've seen. This was a really big missed opportunity. I think Lego should really step up on this Dark Saber and give us an actual mold. Don't get me wrong, the regular rods work very well for regular lightsabers. It's just that the fact that this Dark Saber doesn't have a translucent black rod, it just ends up looking very weird. Like, it looks very lazy, and at the least, I think they really should have used a gunmetal gray handle for the lightsaber, because the Dark Saber's handle is honestly not that shiny. But either way, I would love to see a new mold for the Dark Saber at some point, especially with how important it's going to be to this overall storytelling for these upcoming TV series. And something I would have loved to see with this set as well is them fixing Din Djarin's helmet. This is something that I've been complaining about since we first saw the Mandalorian in Lego form. For some reason, they do the exact same thing that I discussed with the helmet set here. The bottom of his visor is just way too wide, because they pretty much just took the Boba Fett helmet, took his exact visor, and just made it silver and black. But for anyone that's seen the Mandalorian, his helmet is not that close to Boba's. It is actually very differently shaped, and also the visor also takes a different shape as well. Now, I don't really expect them to make a new mold just for Din Djarin's helmet here, but the least they could do is print this visor differently so it's more tapered at the bottom, making it more accurate to how Din Djarin looks in the TV series. But honestly, everything I've mentioned about this set's build are kind of nitpicks. The main issue that at the end of the day with this set is the price. Like, even all the stuff I was complaining about with the build, a lot of this is stuff I can look past. The minifigures, the build, all of this stuff is not that big of a deal, but the price here is absolutely atrocious. There is no way an N1 Starfighter should retail for 60 bucks when it's just a vehicle and a couple extra minifigures. I mean, I know this set is 412 pieces, which I guess kind of makes it feel somewhat okay. It feels really weird to say that that feels okay, having a 412 piece set at 60 bucks. But one thing though, it's really hard to believe that this set actually includes 412 pieces. This set should have been much smaller than this. Like, I really think they could have built this set around 350 pieces. This build feels a little bit unnecessary with the amount of small pieces that are packed in. And even with all of that, the price point is just way too high. This set should be no more than 40 bucks, let alone $50, and now it's actually 60. Like, that is just unbelievable. Because as much as I've been hating on the build, if this set was priced at 40 bucks, I think this is a must buy just for how iconic this vehicle is in the TV series. But this set is unfortunately $60, and it does not feel like you're getting $60 worth of stuff here. And that unfortunately is really unfortunate, and that's kind of the story that we've seen with these three sets based on the Book of Boba Fett and also the Mandalorian. These sets are just so overpriced unnecessarily, kind of more than what we've seen over the last few years of Lego Star Wars. Like, yes, Lego is an expensive hobby. Star Wars sets specifically are also very expensive, but this just feels like they're pushing it a little bit too much. I mean, a new N1 Starfighter for 60 bucks, and it doesn't even have the piece count to back it. This is just straight up a bad deal. So guys, as negative as I've sounded through this video, I've actually really enjoyed this spring wave so far. Getting sets based on the Book of Boba Fett and also the Mandalorian Season 2 is absolutely amazing, and I want to see Lego do more of this in the future. Like, go all in on this new Star Wars media, go all in on this new Star Wars content, give us as much of this stuff, because this is where Star Wars is excelling right now, and I think Lego should turn all their focus toward this new stuff. So yeah, overall a great start to 2022. We got some classic stuff, some new stuff. The price points are pretty bad, but overall it's still a pretty good year. And with the way these rumors are sounding, it's going to get even better. And unfortunately, we're going to have to cover that in another video because I don't want this video to get too long. So guys, as usual, before you head out, make sure to go down in the comments below and let me know what you guys think about the first two waves of Lego Star Wars in 2022. Which of these sets are your favorites? Which ones are you planning on buying? And what do you guys think about those price points for those three new sets? Whatever you think, guys, anything and everything, make sure to leave it down in the comments below. Also, if you guys have not had a chance to enter the giveaway, make sure to do so. But that'll pretty much do it for me, guys. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.